Ahoy friends, welcome to Building the Alpha Dory. I'm Dan and this is a project to build a Chamberlain style racing dory from John Gardner's The Dory Book, illustrations by Sam Manning. Today we'll be out in the shop and prepping the shear strakes to hang them on the boat. Let's get out there and get to it. Yeah, so it's looking like another one of those gray days that we've been having here. The past 2 weeks we've probably seen the sun, maybe a total of 3 hours. Not a lot. It's above freezing, so it's, not too bad out here, but it's definitely cold and damp. It's probably in the high 30s. There's a chunk of ice here on the ground that I took out of the rain bucket probably 3 days ago, and it has yet to melt. So yeah, temperatures have been pretty cool. So I think the first thing we'll do before we spend a heck of a lot of time out here this evening is get the oil burner going. And you can see I've done a little bit towards that over here. Moved it out of its spot in the corner and got it cleaned out a little bit. Cleaned most of the dust and sawdust out of it. Yeah, I guess I can't assume that everyone these days is even familiar with one of these. It's a little kerosene heater. So this is the glass that goes over the wick, and it basically all this metal heats up, and this glass regulates the airflow. You can see up inside here, it's kind of a series of these metal baffles that regulate the way the flame burns, and then really get pretty much glowing orange and radiate heat as well. There's a small opening in the top, so you can see this metal is exposed on the top, and there's this glass shroud here, goes down over the burner, and then the burner itself is this is a Sears brand. The burner itself is regulated with this wheel, so you can see the wick down in there, and that is an asbestos wick. So it's a porous woven wick made out of asbestos fibers that will suck up the kerosene, and then this little mirrored chromed reflector reflects it out. The kerosene tank goes in here. I've got the tank over out of the stove. It's been out all summer so that the kerosene isn't slowly evaporating out of the wick and gumming up the wick. When the tank is upside down on here, it wets the wick, so I try not to leave it wet all summer, because then it's just kind of gumming up the wick. So yeah, next thing to do is sweep up the all the tinder that's around the heater, because this stuff will this is what I use to start my grill with, and it's great as tinder, so it's not a good thing to have around a little heater in the shop. So yeah, let's get to sweeping that, and then we'll see if we can light this thing up. Alright, so I've swept up the area and vacuumed out around the that's the spot where the tank sets. So I'm going to just clean off that rubber washer there. There's yeah, a little bit of sawdust that I got down in on there. I usually put a cap over that to keep sawdust out when the tank isn't in, but apparently I didn't put it on this summer. Okay, so that's pretty clean now. And I got a full tank, so I can this is what sits on the washer right here. Also dust the tank off. Okay. Yeah, tank's looks like we're probably 2/3 full of kerosene at the moment, so plenty of kerosene in there. Alright, there it goes, clumps down in. And yeah, if you're quiet, you can probably hear it glugging out. And what we'll do is let that, I can hear it. So that's running into the wick piping and whatnot. Okay, so you can see the wick is wet and it's catching quickly. So that glugging was the kerosene running into the piping that goes to the wick. So with the if you're starting your stove for the first time for the winter, yeah, make sure that you're getting kerosene into the wick, because until that wick gets wet, until there's kerosene in the tube that runs to the wick won't light. Okay, so you can hear that, and it'll be a couple minutes until that's sort of lit and just burning smoothly. It takes a few minutes to really get up to temperature. But yeah. So while we're waiting for the stove to come up to temp, I came across another plane that yeah, like I was saying, we had some pretty significant rust issues, surface rust with condensation. So we'll give this guy a quick, super quick sand with an 800 grit paper. Being really careful not to touch the blade. Yeah, if you got any questions as to whether you might touch the blade with the paper, it's probably best to take the blade out, but I was just staying far enough away from it. Not a ton of rust on this, but a little bit of surface rust. And the nice thing with the you can hit the rust the rest of the metal as well. This is but you definitely want to get the base because when you're using the plane, you're wiping off whatever's on the base, whether it's oil or whatever you've used to sort of treat the metal once you're done sharpening the plane and truing the base on it. If you do that, or reconditioning the plane, a lot of times you'll get them and they're a little rusty, so you gotta clean them up. But yeah, and just the just daily use will take whatever finish was on the base off, whether it's oil or wax or whatever. But the wax is nice because it it helps with the movement of the plane as well, and it's not gonna get your planking oily or whatever the first few swipes with it. So yeah, is that done and done. Put this back in put that back in with the other planes. This is kind of cool. It's a rabbit plane. These are not all that uncommon, but usually they're a double. There's two rabbit planes, so there's like two blades on it, and this is just a single. So yeah, nice little cast iron plane. A lot of times, if you're looking at these, the joint between the handle and the body of the plane, either here or at the base, will be cracked. It's tough to spot when you're just like looking at buying, when you're just looking at it. And then when you start using it, you'll feel movement there. But yeah, these are really susceptible to cracking in those spots if they were ever dropped, especially hit something hard. The cast iron is great, but it's also brittle. So okay, so yeah, we got the stove starting to glow back here, and this is just what I was talking about with the the visible flame. The tongues of flame are gone, and we've just got sort of a cherry red glow started, and that's this is maybe 5 minutes after lighting, and that's the way your oil burner should work if it's clean enough and functioning more or less properly. And you can feel it starting to throw heat already, and that really won't heat up the shop, but it will kind of take the edge off. And if it's a really cold day, you can leave a few of your tools down there and they won't be scalding cold to the touch. You can also leave a cup of coffee or tea down there on the stove and it'll keep it warm. And it does, like I say, it definitely takes the edge off. It'll bring it up on a real chilly day, it'll take the bite out of the air, and then on a day like this, it just kind of drives some of the raw and the moisture out. Alright, so next on the to-do list was just hit the edges of these frames where we cut the bevels. Just kind of take the saw marks off them, It's not, we're not trying to change the angle, just smooth them up for a finished effect. Yeah, so it's like I say, we're not taking a lot off, just trimming the saw cuts, taking the saw marks off them. Yeah, that looks good. And these are going to get cut off wherever the planking comes to, and then the rail cap will go on over the top of these frames. So yeah, you can see this little plane. We put some wax on this and sanded it last episode. It stayed, not that it would hopefully rust up all that bad in just a couple days. It stayed nice and clean, which is the idea with that treatment. is really glowing now. And you can see actually in the reflection, the reflector, you can see the back side of the wick there, the chimney, and you can see the heat that's being thrown out just with the visible light, but the the infrared, the actual heat coming off it is even more so. So that's what that reflector's there for, is to throw the heat that would have gone up against the wall here, toss it back out into the room. So next is to hang this port side plank, and cut the stem so the port side plank will land in the right spot. So let's do that. So it's just me wrestling with the cheapy bar clamp back there. Those, like I was talking about rust in the shop, those things, the bars love to rust, and then pretty sure there's something on the inside that's rusting too, in the mechanism for the squeeze, because the bar's a little bit rusty, but they just quit. They're more of a toy. They kind of look like a clamp, but they don't really work like a clamp. So, yeah, maybe give them to your kids to pretend to carpenter with, but they're really not good for a whole lot. Anyway, I got one on the stern just because maybe I should make a wood clamp to go back there. Just stop fooling around with those things. I've actually got a kickstick that works pretty good back there, but it's I think under the bench there. I'll have to dig it out. Okay, so yeah, we're at a good height here. Of course, the height on one side is gonna dictate the height on the other side, so we'll wait till that's totally figured out before we congratulate ourselves too hard about the perfect height. But yeah, we're looking good up at the bow here, so yeah, I can clamp this and we'll mark a line, and we'll cut this the same way we cut the other side, finish the stem bevel, and we'll be ready to put some planks on. This is a clamp. That's not a clamp, this is a clamp. Alright, yeah, so let's draw the line and cut that stem bevel. So that's where we want the plank to land. Got a good mark there now, and we want to make the cut at a similar angle to